Okay, listeners, I bet you're wondering, what does wine have to do with my show? Well, my next guest has gone from the Air Force to tech and also pursuing a passion as a sommelier. And if I didn't pronounce that right, here's a drink to that. Join us as we're talking about the transition from military to civilian life. Working in tech, sommelier certifications, and if you didn't think that was enough, she's also graduating with her master's in August. Our next guest is a sales development representative at Turbonomic. Her name is Hailey Booth. Before we bring Hailey onto the show, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and notification. Okay, listeners, please join me in welcoming Hailey to the show. Hailey, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks, John. I appreciate the opportunity to be here on the John Myer podcast.
So, Hailey, today we're talking about, sharing your experience from military to sommelier with a passion for marketing. And I got to ask you, did I pronounce it right?
Sommelier, actually. So
Okay.
You're close, really close.
All right. As you know, I can't speak French. I'm not sure I could say it ever again without some really definition or somebody helping me pronounce it. But you know what? If I mess it up from here on out, correct me, or we'll just, count it as something I do.
Be the new word. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. All right, Hailey, how about we step back in time and talk about really your joining the military, why, and why did you choose that path?
Sure. Yeah. So it was kind of crazy because the Air Force was really something that kind of fell into my lap. I'm from a little rural town in Texas, and unless you're retired or just like to fish, there's really not a lot of opportunity for young people. There's no colleges there. There's no industry or anything like that. So, after graduating high school early, I was just looking for some kind of opportunity to do something and be a part of something big. And I just decided to walk into an Air Force recruiter one day and say, what's this about? I didn't have a ton of military in my family or anything. And then 2 days later, I didn't really give it much thought. I signed on the dotted line after that, to be an Arabic linguist. So I knew Intel was kind of a good way to secure a solid future. And so I did that. And like I said, I didn't put a lot of thought into it. I didn't give myself much time to talk myself out of it. And then the next thing I knew, I had just turned 18 and I was shipped off to boot camp.
So you signed up. How old were you when you went, or you thought about it and you signed up?
Yeah, I was 17. So my parents had to sign the paperwork. And then I left for boot camp right after turning 18.
And when you say left right after, I mean, how soon, how close are we talking?
So I turned 18 in February. I just had my birthday. And then I left the very first week of May.
Okay, so congratulations on your birthday.
Thanks.
We are recording this in February and it will be out then. So we won't say how old you are, but happy birthday.
Okay, appreciate that. Yeah. 30 is on the horizon and it's looming. So
yeah, we won't disclose my age either because I'm past that time. So, all right, you're at the military. And what were you doing at the military?
I became an Arabic linguist. So I was working in Intel.
Okay, tell us a little bit about that. What are you doing with it? And you were in the Air Force, correct?
Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah. So I worked a joint mission alongside other branches to learn, like I said, I had to learn Arabic. I went to the Military Defense Language Institute out in California. I was there for a little less than 2 years. They taught us Arabic and many other dialects, from the different countries and such. And then I worked a joint mission for the NSA for about 4 years after that. And I got stationed in Georgia to work that mission out here. So we were doing, counterterrorism and things of that nature.
Okay, so we won't talk about any more of the NSA because I don't want them listening to my show.
Yeah,
we're
right?
just going to move.
Yeah, that's usually about where I leave it. That's about it.
We're just going to move on. What was your day like? And talk about it, because I know you said you were in one spot listening and, interpreting things for a long period of time. And it doesn't sound like your personality.
No, I'm an extroverted person. So sitting at a computer for 10 to 12 hours with headphones on, listening to chatter and just transcribing and translating all day. It was very interesting. It was exciting. It was something that was really cool to be a part of. But after a few years, I got burned out and I just knew I needed something more. I really felt like something was missing from my life.
Okay. After a few years, how long were you there?
4 years.
So you were there 4 years. Let's talk about you transitioning out of the military into civilian life. I noticed you were working on some education while you were there. You want to give us a little bit of backstory on it?
Yeah. So I got stationed at Fort Gordon back in 2013. I'd been in for about 2 years at that point. And I knew I kind of wanted to start, I really wasn't at the burnout point yet, but I knew I kind of wanted to start expanding my education and seeing what was out there. I was just going through a course catalog for a college and saw marketing and thought, oh, that kind of sounds like something that fits my personality. So I started working on a bachelor's of marketing. Like I kind of fly by the seat of my pants when it comes to that kind of thing. So yeah, I worked on that and I finished that in 3 years the whole time I was active duty. And that's kind of where the wine thing comes into play too.
You were getting an education while working 10-hour shifts
Hmm.
at the
Yeah.
same time. I mean, that's unbelievable because I know how much effort it takes even to return to school. I did it once. I returned to school. Actually, I did it twice, but
Yeah.
to kind of pursue my, education, but you're working 10-hour days and doing this as well.
Yeah, that combined with military life, I mean, I was tied to it. I had no other life outside of that. I really dedicated everything I had to it because I'm very passionate about academics. I love learning. I get bored if I don't have something like academically related, whether it's a certificate or a degree or something hanging over my head to work towards. So I just gave it everything I had and I finished pretty quickly. It was worth it. It was worth it.
All right, congratulations on it because I know how much effort it takes. Not only, and I really appreciate your service. Thank you for doing it. 4 years, 4 months, whatever, whatever time it was, you still took that time out. And 4 years is actually like a long time in the military, right? Or do people have a
Yeah.
full
So
on
that
like
was four
career?
years. Yeah, that was 4 years working. I had to do the 2 years of school and training prior to that. So my entire enlistment was 6 years, but it took the first 2 years of that to learn a whole other language and become operational.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah,
Now I know
awesome.
you noted that it was 6 years once, and I was trying to think, well, you said 4 years. You had to
Yep.
do 2 years of training and then 4 years on top.
Actually doing the duty. Uh-huh.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So now you pursued it. Yeah. Now you pursued this career, this other education in marketing. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that. What
Sure.
was it about? Why did you pursue that? And what are you looking to do?
I really didn't, when I started it, I didn't have an end goal. I knew I had, the Air Force pays for your education. I wanted to take advantage of that. I knew I probably wasn't going to stick with Intel forever. And so I chose the marketing thing because, like I said, sales, marketing, relationships, networking, people, that's just kind of a fit for my personality. My dad worked in sales. And so, I knew it was something that I could apply to a bunch of different things, that I wanted to do. And that's when I started kind of focusing on some of my hobbies. And I realized that I could intertwine that degree with those hobbies. And that's when my future career goals really started to take shape at that point.
When you pursue a hobby as a career, the passion is there. You don't wake up
Yeah.
and work, you wake up and have fun
No,
and enjoy it.
exactly.
Let's talk about this hobby.
All
I
right.
know what it is, but so Haley, tell the audience, what was this hobby and what are you looking to pursue and what are you doing on the side?
Yeah, so wine was a hobby of mine, and most people, think that and they laugh because they're like, "Oh, we all like to drink." But, I grew up in the food industry around food and wine and restaurants and such. So it was a presence in my life, and it wasn't just something to drink. It wasn't just alcohol to consume. It's an art form, and food and wine pairing is an art form, and it's something that, should be greatly revered and respected. So I was used to being around that when I was a kid. And once I became old enough to drink legally, I, enjoyed having wine, and I really got into the thick of studying it and the geography and the culture, behind winemaking countries. And, there are countries that focus their entire economy on that. So the culture of those countries and the chemistry of winemaking, that is just something that fascinated me. And just like I did with school, I gave it everything I had. I started studying it day in and day out, going to tastings. I would go to wine shops and find the weirdest bottle I could find from the most unique, interesting place on a map that nobody's ever heard of, a grape that's not just your common everyday wine grape. I really started trying to push the limits and expand my knowledge and really appreciate what wine is about. Like I said, it's an art. So that really took up a lot of my time. And between that and school, it finally hit me one day after going to all of these classes and seminars that were being taught by people that were in sales and marketing in the wine industry. Finally, I go to one and I'm like, oh, wine and sales and marketing. Let's put these two together. And now I've got my future pretty much set up. So that's the direction that took. So I changed paths again.
Did you happen to see? I did a recording with a colleague of ours who actually
Okay.
transitioned out.
Yeah.
In fact, everybody take a look up here of a recording I did with Caitlin McGinnis on her transition from military to civilian and her pursuit to marketing, which it seems that your passion's going that way as well.
Yes. So Caitlin McGinnis is actually, we work the same mission. She is my best friend in the whole world. She actually helped bring me into my career at Turbo. So she was my biggest cheerleader during that time. She remembers the nights of me staying up late and studying and, showing her whatever wine I was tasting and everything. So yeah, she and I followed similar paths, and we've always cheered each other along in that. And we've had that to kind of help get each other through, when it gets difficult and when it gets stressful, we've always had each other to get through those times.
I bet that helps with the transition, though, from military to civilian because you can lean on each other. I know her husband was also in the military, so they have each other, but you guys sound like you have a really close relationship where you can lean on each other during these times to be like, hey, are you going through this? Yeah, I'm going through this. What do you suggest? What can we do? How has that relationship actually helped you guys?
Oh yeah, I mean, I call her my better half because we lean on each other for just about everything. And that kind of life transition presents challenges that, most other people our age don't go through because, not being in the military, you don't know. And she joined at a young age too. So neither of us really knew anything about civilian life outside of, what we knew at 17, which we didn't know much. That's why we went to the military in the first place. So, it's, our relationship has only grown through that. And I mean, we will call each other at 2 o'clock in the morning when we're having some kind of crisis or anything to, really get each other through it and build each other up. And she's really helped me through all my career transitions that I've had. So I would be lost without her.
That's nice to hear. I'm glad you have that person to lean on for it. Now, something I want to switch gears just a little bit
Okay.
and go back to your education
Okay.
because you're pursuing a master's right now, correct?
I am. Yes, I'm almost done. I will be graduating in August. I've been going full time since last year. Another thing that I throw all of myself into, even though I have really no business doing that because I'm exhausted and going insane. But once I start something, I'm a very impatient person and I'm like very instant gratification. So I want to start it, give it all I have, and finish it. So I'm working on that too. Yeah, I've got this semester, I'm in 3 classes, and I got 2 in the summer, and then I'll be done with my master's. So
Can we also share with the audience that something else is happening in August, right
yes,
around that time of your
yes,
graduation?
the end of July, right before about 3 weeks before I graduate, I'm expecting a baby. So my little girl is actually, I just talked to my doctor last week about trying to line up my induction date with the 4 days off in between the summer 1 semester and the summer 2 semester. So
Wait. You're planning this all around and
I'm planning
organizing.
my child's birth around my school. I told you the academics are my thing. So that's what I told her. I said, if we could schedule it in between these 4 days, then I'll be home on maternity leave. I can get my last semester done and have my degree in hand. Degree in one hand, baby daughter in the other. I'm good to go.
That sounds like a completion, something I'm really proud of. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
both.
Thanks.
Not only the birth of your daughter, that will be happening right around that time, and hopefully during the time that you plan,
I
but
really hope.
also for your master's.
Thanks. Thanks. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on, but it keeps me busy. I thrive in good stress. If I don't have good stress, I get bored. So I just like to pile it on and hit all my life milestones at one time, I guess.
I want to share a quick story. It's not about me, but it's
Yeah.
really interesting for me because so my quick story is right around when I was about to graduate with my bachelor's degree, my wife was pregnant and my daughter was due. Now my daughter was right around the time. I mean, like we were worried that we were going to be at the reception at the
Right.
ceremony and something was going to happen. I mean, we didn't plan it. We didn't schedule anything. It was all going to be like, well, I guess we're just going to play it by ear. Thankfully, I graduated, I think it was like May 18th. My daughter was born on Memorial Day on the 31st, the last day of the
Oh,
month.
cool. That's
So
exciting.
there was some leadway. I'm really
Yes.
glad that it kind of worked out that way because it probably would have put a little more stress on my wife if it happened around that time.
100%. And then you got to enjoy her being there because school was done.
Yes, Exactly. And I don't know. I always think that I might go back and pursue my master's, but I like my certifications. So I kind of work on those due diligently. But
Yeah.
speaking of it, certifications, what certifications could you get in your new line of work that you're pursuing?
In the wine industry or tech?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
actually, both.
so,
Let's talk
well,
about both because, I kind of left that open. And well, one, because I don't think I can pronounce sommelier. Did I
there
say?
you go. Yeah, it's better.
Oh,
That's really good.
woohoo. All
You go for
right.
it
Plus
short.
one for
Yay.
me. All right. Well, in both aspects, what certifications could you pursue?
Yeah. So in the few years that I took off between my bachelor's and when I started my master's last year, I started pursuing wine certifications. So I had my job working in sales for the wine distributor after I got out of the Air Force. And they were really supportive about any education. There's a plethora of different organizations that offer certifications just to know everything there is to know about wine. So I took the level 1 sommelier exam. And I passed that. And then I also took the certified specialist of wine exam and passed that. So ideally, my next step will be there's another organization called the Wine and Spirits Education and Trust. They have a whole tiered 1, 2, 3, 4 type diploma certification. So that is on my radar. Sommelier level 2 is also on my radar. And then after you become a certified specialist of wine, they really like for you to push into becoming a certified wine educator and kind of prep the next generation of wine folks. So once I finish my master's, I'm not going to have anything else to do. I'm going to be bored. Raising 2 kids apparently isn't enough. So yeah, the wine certifications, I'll get back into those once I finish my marketing degree and really go for those because that's fun to me. That's not work, so.
Okay. What does it entail for a wine certification? The exam that you took. I mean, you taste testing wine and writing the results down, or are you actually answering
Yeah,
questions about certain,
all of
bottles,
it.
certain types?
All of it, yeah.
Okay.
So a really big portion, like when I took the certified specialist of wine exam, that one's really just like a theory and knowledge-based exam. But I mean, you have to memorize maps of every country in the world that produces wine. And so they all have regions, they'll be broken up into 5 or 8 regions. Those regions might have 15 or 20 sub-regions. You got to learn about what kind of grapes they grow in each of those regions, what kind of winemaking processes they're doing. Every single one of those countries has different laws and how they classify and distribute and sell wine. You got to know all of that. You got to know what the different characteristics of all the grapes, what kind of flavors you're going to be tasting in different wines, laws around what kind of aging they have to use, what kind of oak they have to use. And then of course, like actual, growing grapes is farming. So, you got to learn about actual farming practices in the vineyards and what kind of climate they need and what kind of soil different grapes need. And, what kind of pests are in the vineyard that, can take out a grape crop, or what kind of diseases or faults there can be in winemaking processes. I mean, all of that is testable material. So the certified specialist of wine, for me, I was doing it alongside my bachelor's while I was working. And that ended up being about a 4-year long process. And then when you get into the sommelier, that's more centered around wine service. So that you're doing blind tasting. They'll put 2 reds or 2 whites or 3 reds or 3 whites in a glass. And based on the colors you see, what things you're smelling and what you're tasting, you have to be able to name the grape, where it's from, about how old the wine is, and a few other things like that, just based off of sight and taste alone. So it's a lot of pressure.
Holy
It's fun.
crap.
It's fun. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to leave it to the experts. I'm just going to
Yeah.
drink it. That's it.
Like we'll handle the back end. I'll tell you what, to drink with whatever it is you're eating, and you just get to enjoy it. But to me,
Yeah.
that's the fun stuff. So look, I'm
Yeah.
getting so motivated and hyped right now. Yeah, there's a fantastic movie on Netflix, and it's called SOMM, and it's about the level 4 at, master sommelier certification. There's only 200 master sommeliers in the entire world, because of how, I mean, these guys dedicate 10, 12 years, 10, 12 hours a day of studying for the course of 10 to 12 years to be able to pass that exam. That's why there's so few of them. But I watched that movie. So that movie it's a documentary following 4 guys studying and taking that exam. And I watched that movie. I've probably seen it 80 times. I watch it the way people watch a football game because it's exciting, but it really kind of gives you insight to what that world is like and how much there really is to it. That's crazy.
Wow. Okay. All right, I know this show is not about wine, but I hope you got some education on really what goes into it and behind the scenes. Now, if you choose just to drink it like me, nobody's complaining. So,
Yeah, exactly.
so Hailey, let me talk about your transition from military to civilian. Is there anything you could give, some advice for people making the same transition, going through the same stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest thing I think that I see a lot of people not do, and it's difficult, when you're in the military, when you start kind of thinking that maybe you want to make that transition, and it might be 2 to 4 years away, it might be a year away. Start, when I say start preparing, I mean start thinking about how to make yourself marketable and how to translate yourself to the outside world. Whether it's starting to take little certifications, or studying for different things that will help translate your military skills. I see a lot of people in highly technical jobs that in the military, that's great, but when they get out of the military, it means nothing to anybody on the outside. Not that it doesn't mean anything, but it's hard to translate that into starting a new career, and they end up taking jobs that kind of get them nowhere, and they really wish they'd kind of prepared for that a little bit more. So thinking as far ahead in advance and pursuing the educational opportunities is my biggest advice. The military, the GI Bill is so great and so amazing. Take advantage of it early. That's what I did, and that's what I see a lot of my friends that didn't do tell me they wish they did.
Nice. Now, so when we talked to Caitlin, right, she mentioned translating what she did in the military to
Mhm.
civilian, and she had some help through the process, but she had to
Yeah.
really understand what she was doing. She knew what she was doing in the military, but how
Mhm.
does that equate to civilian? And she needed help, and she went through the transition and translation of professional to civilian life. And that's a good advice that you both of you are saying the same exact thing.
It's the truth.
So, Hailey, before we wrap things up, really, you're talking about that you made 3 career changes already, correct?
I did. I
Now,
did.
you haven't reached a big 3-0. We'll just leave it and we'll just drop it from that. Okay. But what were those 3 career changes? And I do
Yeah.
really, the reason I'm asking is because I don't want people to look at it like I've changed mine probably 3 or 4 times. In fact, I started out highly technical. Now I'm highly technical and marketing. I never thought I'd be in marketing, by the way,
Sure.
but
Marketing's so
yeah,
fun.
what's that?
The marketing's fun. It sucks you in.
You know what? I never thought I would be in it, but I enjoy it because it allows me to do this. It allows me to write,
Yeah.
it allows me to talk to a lot of people and just do it for a living and a huge passion. All right. So those 3 career changes that you went through.
Yeah. So I went into military intel, and then I left that and got into wine sales. And then, when COVID hit, that really hit that industry pretty hard between, the shutdowns of restaurants and bars and supply chain disruptions. So it became less of a sustainable option when you work on commission and you don't have inventory to sell with, the way the supply chain's been affected in every industry, but it hit the alcohol industry too. So that's when I decided to look for a little bit more sustainable option. And that's when I moved into tech, because tech is everything now. So now I'm in sales in the tech world, and I'm really excited about it. Tech is not something I know much about, so I kind of had to take a leap of faith. But as we've talked about in the past, that's clearly just what I do. I kind of just find something, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. Let's go. And so, yeah, so now here I am. So, I never thought I would be here. I never thought I'd be in wine sales. I never thought I'd be in the military. So, when an opportunity presents itself, there's a million reasons not to do something. There's a million reasons not to take it. And sometimes you just got to take that blind leap and believe in yourself and do everything in your power to make it happen. Work and go to school at night and put in the late nights and, work really hard at it, but you can make it happen. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing that I take away from all the experience I've gained in the last, I won't say how many years.
Take that blind leap of faith. That's actually probably a good closing, but I want to mention another thing that it's been asked for my show when I have certain people on is like, what does my story have to do with tech? And really, my show is about telling other people's stories and
Mhm.
allowing them to get heard. But you also just told from military to wine to tech. So
Mhm.
you've just closed the loop and really the whole entire story that I'm sharing, that no matter what, there's always a story to be told and to take that blind leap of faith.
There you go.
I figured we would wrap it up with just a little bit there on the ending. You know what? I always say my last thing, but I think, I want to give you a chance. What else
Okay.
would you like to share with the audience? What do you think it would be? I know it's an open mic, by the way. It's just
That's
saying.
okay. I'm ready. Okay.
All right. So what is something that you want to give everybody else? Some word of advice, something either, you've just mentioned transitioning from the military to civilian, but really in your pursuit, because you're really like, I mean, when you notice something, you want to do something, I can tell you just go and do it and you achieve it. I haven't heard one, and I'm sure there's failures that you've learned, but you've
100%.
transitioned those failures into lessons.
Mhm.
But really, that pursuit, I mean, I see you as a passionate person pursuing these things.
So it's kind of funny you use the word pursuit. And like you said, when I find something I want, I don't care how qualified or unqualified I am, I just do it. The quote that's always resonated with me, and I'm going to get real cheesy with you. And I don't know, the quote's unknown, nobody knows the author, but it says, be fearless in the pursuit of what sets your soul on fire. And I just get chills even just saying that. Yeah, but finding passion is the driving force behind everything we do. And, I was 23 years old in the military and I've been translating Arabic. I had no business going and selling wine. But I had to get over those fears, and I had to just totally go for it and be relentless, be fearless, be relentless. Because anything you set your mind to that you want to do, you can make it happen. And we hear our parents tell us that growing up and everything, but it's true. You just have to be willing to put in the work.
How often have your parents been right?
A lot. They always were. They always were. So yeah, when they tell you that you can be anything you want to be, you really can.
I'm going to leave this for my kids to listen to this down the road. Just a little hint.
Yeah, absolutely.
In fact, you can play this back for your kids.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
So, Hailey, I really appreciate you joining me here on the show and telling your story and letting the audience know how to actually energize your career and pursue what you're happy about, not only from military to sales to winery, sommelier, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, man. I had 2 for 2,
You
man.
got
I'm
it.
so
You good. Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you for letting me practice it on a show. All right, everybody. Hailey Booth joining us, a sales development representative from Turbonomic. Hailey, thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Yeah, it's been great to be on the John Myer podcast.
Thank you for that. In fact, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, and notify. But guess what, folks? We're out of here.